Hello, and welcome to today's webinar, Elevate Productivity and Agility with Corticon Across the Microsoft Landscape. My name is Rachel Ritchie, and I'm the Field Marketing Manager for Corticon. I'm joined today by our two guest speakers, Thierry Siot, a Corticon Development Architect, and James Goodfellow from Corticon Product Marketing. James and Thierry, thank you for joining us today. Now I'd like to hand the presentation over to James, who will walk us through a high-level overview of Corticon and how it integrates across the Microsoft landscape.
Thank you, Rachel. And hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Just briefly before jumping into Corticon, I wanted to talk a little bit about the overall Progress portfolio. Progress is recognized as a leader in application development and deployment technologies in our 30-plus year history. Progress has consistently delivered platforms and tools that organizations need and depend on to develop and deploy mission-critical business applications. Our reach and success has been accentuated by over 1,700 software partners that build their applications on our solutions. We also have more than 100,000 enterprise customers that span 175 countries and every major industry category. Given our reach and breadth of technologies, there are over 2 million developers that use Progress products to develop and deliver mission-critical applications and user experiences. So all told, there are over 6 million business users and over 100 million consumers that use applications that run on Progress technologies. Our mission is very simple: to provide the best platform to build and deliver mission-critical business applications today and into the future. All right, here you'll see an overview of that breadth and depth that I just spoke about. These are the products and solutions that we offer as a company, as well as how our products are integrated to offer adaptive user experiences. We enable you to build customer scale, omni-channel applications by helping you provide an adaptive experience with applications or experiences that support all digital touch points needed by your users. This includes responsive web experiences, native mobile applications and chatbots. We're also researching support for future user channels and technologies like micro apps. The adaptive experience needs to be supported by a cognitive cloud with a modern set of application services that include serverless cloud backend that is completely managed by you and your choice of public or virtual private cloud. The ability to use and determine predictive results using an automated data science lifecycle to manage complex business rules for fast-changing environments, or to use content with any application experience to drive engagement and to support enterprise-grade systems of record. And finally, with connected data, the ability to connect and integrate to any data or application regardless of location, including IoT, systems of record, big data, and content and applications, both on premises and in the cloud. So there are a lot of reasons why companies embrace this unified approach to managing their core business rules, but really they boil down to the same reasons why businesses do anything: to minimize risk, to lower costs, and to increase revenues, but also to build and maintain trust. And in this instance, we're talking about minimizing the risk of fines and penalties for noncompliance. Heavily regulated industries like healthcare and financial services face ever-increasing scrutiny from government agencies. Improving efficiencies to lower operational costs and increase profits. To maximize efficient operations, businesses are turning to automation of their cumbersome business processes, from BPA, business process management, or automation, to RPA, which is robotic process automation. Enterprises of all sizes are trying to find ways to streamline their operations by automating rules. And finally, building and maintaining customer, employee, and shareholder trust. Consumer protection laws around data privacy are forcing organizations across all industries to protect the consumer data that they collect. And with the implementation of a digital decisioning solution like Corticon, businesses are able to realize multiple benefits that affect these very high-level perennial business drivers. So among these benefits, businesses are able to rapidly respond to updates and changes, consistently and accurately enforce policies, and then leverage prescriptive data-driven decisioning. For example, depending on your industry, you can now more accurately and quickly determine what discount should I apply to this purchase. Is the applicant qualified for this loan? What are the recommended treatment options for a patient? Or is this a fraudulent transaction? So when it comes to domain expertise, Corticon has a rich history of solving industry-specific business pains. Here are a few examples of where we've been successful because we're able to help these companies parlay policy and compliance into demonstrated value. Insurance customers' expectations and habits are changing. The industry is consolidating, competition is adapting. Making decisions represents the bulk of the day-to-day tasks and core insurance processes like policy underwriting and claims processing. In financial services, as much as 70% of critical business tasks involve data-driven decisions. That means thousands of repetitive decisions each day for everything from loan and credit application approval to verifying customer identity to configuring new products. Governments and agencies care about serving the needs of the public while dealing with complex and ever-shifting policies and regulations, all while protecting their programs from risk and fraud, oftentimes in the face of static or shrinking resources. Healthcare applications contain tons of complex rules based on regulations, new studies, protocols, and demographics. With more piling on every day, when these business rules are hard-coded into your apps, changing and testing and deploying them, even just one rule can cost a software developer multiple productivity hours, if not days or weeks. Finally, the world of e-commerce retail is an intensely competitive landscape renowned for its razor-thin profit margins. Businesses in the market need to extract every possible edge to get ahead and stay ahead. When you get into the application, the first thing you're going to notice about Corticon is the Excel-like interface. So we realize that folks in your business who are most familiar with the rules and policies are probably not coders. So trying to push out rules through code can bring about a lot of translation errors and complexity. So more so, Corticon is ready to go out of the box for business analysts and technical users alike. So Corticon enables a single-click deployment so that you won't require hours of IT implementation and integration just to get started. In addition to the simplicity, the ability to create rules in one place and then push them out across multiple applications is paramount. Maintaining rules via code is time intensive. Maintaining rules via code across multiple applications, across multiple data sources, across multiple language and architectures, well, I mean, that's just downright risky. There's a very real and significant threat to ensuring that rules are being applied uniformly across the disparate systems with so many variables in play. One of the major leaps we've made with Corticon 6 is how we work with the Microsoft landscape of business software. As you've likely seen in previous presentations, we overhauled our ability to work natively with .NET architectures without the need for cross-compilation. Another big leap we've made with our 6.1 release is the ability to integrate seamlessly across the rest of the Microsoft landscape. Most notably, the vast CRM and ERP tools that comprise the Dynamics 365 suite. This includes field, sales, marketing, operations, finance, customer service, and automation. In addition, we've enhanced our ability to reach into Azure Cloud Applications, Office 365, and Power BI for rule-worthy data. So what are the primary benefits of Corticon integrating more closely with these Microsoft technologies? I think the first is pretty obvious. A large portion of enterprises of all sizes rely heavily on Microsoft applications to conduct business. Not all enterprises are wholly Microsoft shops, but between Office, Dynamics, Azure, Visual Studio, etc., it would be difficult to find an organization that didn't have Microsoft applications. So if we're going to be the stewards of our customers' rules process, then we need to demonstrate the ability to go where the data is. And to that point, it's worth stating that connecting with Microsoft applications isn't always easy. Between ODBC and JDBC distinctions, these applications tend to take on a life of their own. If you're a complete Microsoft shop, then these differences are pretty transparent. However, as most enterprises employ many other technologies, getting them to talk to one another can be challenging, rewarding, but challenging. And finally, on the topic of rewarding, Corticon feeds off of data. The more it has access to, the better the results will be in the end. Decisions will be made off of complete data, and for that, there is no substitute. And with that, I will turn it over to Thierry so that he can do a bit more of a deep dive into the relationship between Corticon and Microsoft.
Thank you, James. I'm very happy to be here to share all the great improvements our team has created. Many of the features are super cool, and we'll see some of them in a demo soon. Here is the agenda for this part of the presentation. We will talk about the tremendous performance improvements we've made to our .NET solution. Then we'll cover how and why Corticon integrates with Dynamics 365, and we'll finish up with actually a couple of demos. The first thing we'll look into are the performance improvements we have achieved for our .NET solution. We have invested a lot to improve the overall performance of this solution with brand new architecture. And the results are tremendous. We are not talking about 10 or 30% improvement, how typically is happening when you improve software. Here we're talking about 2 to 5 times faster rules execution compared to the previous architecture. We can see these results in a graph. Here we are showing the data for a payload encoded using the XML format. So this diagram shows how long it takes to execute the rules given a number of records. The old architecture metrics are plotted with a blue line, and the new architecture metrics are plotted with a green line. So for example, when processing 100 records, we went from 240 to about 52 milliseconds for more than 4 times performance improvement. And for 500 records, we went from 1400 to around 300. So again, a little bit more than 4 times performance improvement. This graph shows the same measurement now using JSON data. As you can see, we also improved tremendously the performance here. So for processing 100 records, we went from 60 to 12, which is 5 times performance improvement. And for 500 records, we went from 387 to 63. Again, a little bit more than 5 times performance improvement. One last point on this topic. If you can, we recommend you use JSON as a payload format. With all things being equal, you will get about 2 to 5 times faster processing over an XML payload. So already worth investigating if you can do that. So to summarize this topic, Corticon 6.0 and app have tremendous performance improvements. If you are using .NET, you should already consider upgrading to our new solution and new version. So next we're going to talk about our integration with Dynamics 365. So to set the context, let me get started with what problems we solve. As James covered earlier, we found from quite a few customers that it is slow and expensive to manage complex business decisions when they are directly coded into the applications. By complex business decisions, we mean implementing rules and policies. For example, in a bank application, implementing the rules to approve a loan, or for a state, implementing benefits eligibility based on regulations. So why is it slow and expensive? Well, rules are typically complex, so it gets to be expensive to develop complex rules. But fundamentally, it's because business analysts cannot directly create rules and policy in a system. They have to interface with a programming team. Also, business analysts typically cannot update the code when rules change, even for trivial changes. So, for example, in a loan approval process, changing a couple of conditions when a loan requires a high level of approval, you will still have to go through the programming team. And finally, the problem is compounded by the cost and shortage of IT staff skills in Dynamics and also in Microsoft various programming languages. Corticon really helps you solve these problems. How is Corticon helping solve these issues? Well, with Corticon, you get huge productivity gains for several reasons. First, business experts, not coder, automate and maintain business decisions. Dynamics 365 programmers simply integrate by coding REST decision services and acting based on the results. So for example, they may just have to send an email to confirm approval of a loan, or perhaps showing a green light in the UI. They don't have to deal with the complexity of the policies and the constant changes to the rules leading to the approval. Now there is a clear separation of responsibilities. Business specialists write rules, and Dynamics programmers handle the results of calling decision services. This will simplify your projects as you are now able to remove how to maintain code and or actually not write that code in Dynamics in the first place. Feedback from our customers indicates the rule development cycle is reduced by up to 90%. Now your business specialist can quickly maintain rules and add new ones, all in a no-code fashion. And we will see an example of that when we go through the demo. There is no long turnaround time. You avoid miscommunication over requirements between the business specialist and the programming team. Another thing we found at some of our customers is that they gain additional agility because Corticon let them author and test the business rules before integrating with Dynamics. And we'll see an example of that also during the demo. So in other words, you can now do work in parallel and you can start your business rules implementation immediately and work towards, for instance, system integration at a later stage. Now, let's look at another aspect where Corticon helps improve your productivity in the realm of composite applications. Most modern applications rarely live in isolation. They are often composed from services living in the cloud or on premises, or a combination of both. And as importantly, they use data from multiple data sources. This is a challenge as it can lead to cost increase for developing and maintaining the application because of the idiosyncrasy of each data source. So Corticon supports access to a set of data sources, as you can see here, a pretty extensive set. Most importantly, and in keeping up with our no-code and productivity gain theme, business analysts and rule modelers can write the rules with data coming from different types of data sources without having to worry where the data is coming from and what the idiosyncrasy of the data sources are. And we'll see an example of that shortly in the demo. So at the end of the day, this allows business specialists to focus on the business problem at hand and greatly improve the productivity. So let's look at how all of this is possible with a couple of demos. We will start with these demo scenarios. First, let me say I'm a business analyst. I'm not a programmer here when I'm talking. So my business is selling various items to potential customers, and the sales opportunities are all in Dynamics. So today my boss says that we now have access to a third-party excess inventory system to get items at discounted price. So we want to write some rules where we're going to scan the current sales opportunities in Dynamics 365 and then cross-check for availability of the requested items in this third-party excess inventory system. The idea being, if the item is available, we want to apply a discount to the opportunity and try to close more deals before the end of the month. Great. So we adjourn the meeting, and as a business analyst, I do some modeling in Excel and find out what discounts I can afford to give. So that leads to the 4 rules that are outlined here. So I'm not going to read through the rules since I'm going to program them in Corticon soon. But since a picture is worth 1,000 words, let's look at the demo diagram so you can get an idea of what is going on. So in one, we have the integration between Dynamics and Corticon Rule Engine via decision service calls. In two, we show that Corticon can read and write data directly into Dynamics 365 as one of its data sources among all the ones we support. And in three, we show Corticon accessing a REST service in the cloud to check if a third-party inventory system has the excess items that we are interested in. Well, first, before we demo anything, let's see some of the sales opportunity we have in Dynamics 365. So this is my Dynamics system. We have a couple of opportunities here listed, and we're going to focus on 2 opportunities in particular. These are the ones we're going to affect. So the first one for some jackets has an estimated revenue of 12,000, and as you can see here, we have no discount applied. The next one here is for some blankets, opportunity $4,000 and no discount either. So now let me jump to Corticon Studio and put myself in the shoes of a business analyst that has just modeled everything in Excel and want to start to code these roles. So this is the main tool business analysts use to create, test, and deploy rules. As James said earlier, it has a spreadsheet-like interface, making it very easy for business analysts to do their work. So in this first panel, we write the conditions. So we have a vocabulary here of opportunities from Dynamics. And as we said, we want to, so the first rule we want to write is, and I'm going to drag this estimated close date, and I'm going to say, hey, first thing we want to make sure is it's greater than the 21st of January. And then because it's before the end of the month or roughly the end of the month, so let's take anything coming to say February 2nd here. And we're going to say true to this guy. And next, what do we want to do? Well, we want to make sure that the opportunity items are available in the third-party inventory system. So we're gonna say so now I'm gonna pick up the REST service, but as you can see from a business analyst point of view, everything looks similar to whether I'm accessing Dynamics or the REST service. I'm gonna take the product SKU out of the third party and say, hey, when this guy is equal to my product SKU, so true to this guy here. So that's the third rule. And finally, what did we say we were going to do? Well, we were going to give a different discount depending whether the, not the estimated, but the budgeted amount is more or less than 10K. So here is, I'm going to drag again the opportunities and say, hey, less than 10K and greater than 10K. So here, let me add true here because these conditions have to be true. The only difference between these two columns is less than 10K, greater than 10K. And what do we want to do? Well, we want to apply a discount percentage. So let's put, now I'm switching to the action panel. I have all my conditions programmed, and I want to say, hey, if a discount, if all these conditions are met in this column for less than 10,000, I'm going to give, let's say, 10%. And in the other column, 20%. Here we go. Now, let's try running these rules. We're going to use the tester in Corticon Studio. We have a couple of options here. One option is to specify input data in for running this test. So effectively, this is doing unit testing. I'm not connecting to any systems, and I'm just using some test data here and try my rules. So let me try. I can see the two conditions happen and have a 10% and 20% discount applied. The output is here. What I can do is take this entire output, copy it, put it here in the expected, and have a full unit test. So now let's say I come back to my rule set and change something, or someone comes along and change something without telling me, and they screw up essentially my rules. I can run my test again, and we'll see a failure. And we see one difference. Let's go to that difference. Oh, we see we expected 10 and we got 11. Oh, someone changed something. So let me go back and change back to 10% here. So all this is a perfect example of what we mentioned earlier. We enable writing business rules immediately in Corticon without having to connect to any of the data sources so that you can develop your rules, implement your policies, and do a full system integration later. The second option we have is to use data directly coming from the Dynamic 365 system and from a REST service. So that's the configuration I have here. So let me go ahead and run this. Now we're going against a live dynamic system and a REST service, and we're getting a bunch of data. And we see we have applied a discount of 10% to the opportunity for the blankets and 20% for the down jacket. So let's go and check that into Dynamics 365. Let me refresh these two opportunities here. Let's go to this one too. And let's see what happened. Okay, so let's scroll down and we're gonna see we have applied a 20% discount to this one because it's greater than 10,000 expected revenue. So now we have all the calculated fields applied and we have our final total amount 10,000. Good. Let me scroll up actually because there was one other field we updated. We have updated with some data from the vendor to say in the description, hey, we can get these items from Jacket United Corporation and the items can be delivered in 3 days. Great. So same thing with this one. So we scroll down and we can see we have a 10% discount and all the numbers are calculated. Now let me jump to a description here. And you can see, again, Angry Unlimited can provide the items, but they can be delivered in 6 days. Now, let's say I review this solution with my boss and the VP of Sales. During the meeting, the VP of Sales pointed out that this will work only if we can get the items from the excess inventory system in less than 5 days. So I say, no problem. We are live in a meeting, and I go back to Corticon and I say, oh, you need the items. We need to check that the delivered items have to be within 5 days. So let's try that. We are in a meeting with VP of Sales and we say, okay, if these conditions are true for both less than 10,000 and 10,000, we're gonna still apply the same percentage. Let me save that and run against our test dynamic system. And let's see what we get. And as you expected, because the other one would take 6 days, we are down to one affected opportunity. Now, you can really appreciate the productivity gains you're getting with Corticon. We improve the rules directly in the meeting when we were getting feedback from a VP. We could finish a meeting all in agreement that this solution works. Imagine how long it would have taken if we had to go back to a programming team and organize more meetings to finalize everything. But another aspect that is really cool here, and I want to highlight it, is the business analysts are writing the rules the same way, whether the data is coming from a REST service or from Dynamics. They don't have to worry about syntax idiosyncrasies of specific data sources. This makes them very productive. It's an example of composite applications we were talking about earlier in the presentation. With Corticon, it becomes trivial to do this kind of composite applications. As the last part of the demo, let me show another really cool thing. So let me show how easy it is to work with an updated REST service. So the use case is this. So everything is fine, and then a couple of days later, my boss comes back and say, "Hey, got a call from the excess inventory guys, and the REST service has been improved to contain a discount the third-party inventory providers can give us. So we have additional discounts we can rely on." Let's see how we deal with an updated data source. So the only thing I have to do is, before I do that, let me switch to my REST service. Okay, first let's look at our REST service. Here we have the local REST service, a couple of fields in it. You can see 6 fields. This is the data we were using until now. So what we're going to do is we're going to augment the REST service to contain these 2 fields. Essentially saying now the service provider can deliver things with some discount based on customer tiers. So we are tier 1 customers, we're going to get 10%, and a tier 2 will get 1%. So now let's look at the service again, and we can see our service has been updated. We have two more fields. Corticon actually is smart enough. We don't need to have these fields present in all the records. Corticon is smart enough to discover the schema across multiple records and be discovering everything we need to work with. So now let me switch back to Corticon Studio and show you what we have to do to get this updated service. So I come to my REST service configuration, and the only thing I need to do is just say discover the schema. And Corticon went ahead and connected to a REST service and discovered the schema and inferred the new vocabulary we can potentially use. So I can go to my vocabulary here and say, I want to populate the vocabulary from newly discovered field. So I'm going to expand here, and we can see now we have discount tier 1 and tier 2. So let's say I'm a tier 1 customer, so I only care about tier 1. I don't need to map tier 2, so that's an option you have. Again, a lot of flexibility. We want to make things simple for you. So I have discovered that field. I'm adding it. And here we can even rename the field to discount. After all, we are tier 1, so we don't want to complicate things, so we're going to call it discount. And now you can see my vocabulary here certainly includes a discount. I didn't have to do any programming, any coding. Everything is ready for the business analyst to write things. So what can I do with this? Well, let's say we are very generous today. We said we're going to augment the discount we're giving to the potential buyer. We go augmented with, we're going to pass through the entire discount. Let's pass through the entire discount, yeah. So you can see I'm dragging and dropping the opportunity discount percentage. So on one end, I'm affecting dynamics. I'm writing into dynamics a new value. And let's say we're only going to do it for the customers that have a large order, so greater than 10K. So let me save this and let me run it again with my tester here. And here we are. And we can see we have an applied discount of 30%. So let's close the loop. Let's go to this opportunity, refresh it, and let's see the new percentage. And here we can see 30%. Now we are way below 10,000 K. So we hope we can close that deal very soon. So you can see how in just a few clicks, without any programming, I can start to use new fields from an updated REST service. Of course, everything I demoed here applies to any data source. Whether the data source is a newly connected data source with a lot of complex schema or a simple schema, we can map it all to speed up you working with Corticon. This is really cool and very powerful. We're very proud of this feature. So that's it for the demo. So let's switch back to the slides. Yeah, a couple of points I just want to mention. We support both the on-premise and the cloud version of Dynamics. And for authentication, we also support both OAuth and NTLM. We found NTLM being commonly used with Dynamics on-premise, so it's worth supporting both. So let's go through an architectural diagrams to summarize what we demoed and learned today. We have demoed how we can write rules in a few point-and-clicks, no-code fashion mechanism. We have seen how Corticon can access data in Dynamics 365, as well as in a variety of other data sources, enabling the creation of composite applications. For the demo, we saw an implementation with just a few rules. But in the fields, we see customers with solutions deployed with hundreds or even thousands of roles. when there are that many rules and policies to implement, the productivity gains of Corticon already shine. As I mentioned it earlier, customers are reporting a reduction of up to 90% in the rules development cycle. All in all, we are very proud and very happy with this new release, and we hope you will find great value in it. And with that, I'll pass it back to you, James.
Thank you. That was an excellent demonstration. Before we get to the question portion, I just want to take a few seconds to let you guys know about our upcoming user event. Next 20 will be coming to Boston here very soon. This is an excellent opportunity to learn all about the entire portfolio of Progress products, as well as to connect with specific Corticon experts and with your industry peers. So if you want to learn more, if you want to see some of the sessions that we had last year and what we're going to strive for this year, if you want to go ahead and get registered, please visit progress.com/next. Okay, so I want to jump into some of the questions that we had. I did get one question about Thierry, about which version of Dynamics this runs with, but I think you actually covered that in your last portion of the slide. So is that correct?
Yes, we support Dynamics version 9, actually,
Yeah.
both
Great.
on-premise and in the cloud. So, yeah.
And then tangential to that, do you support custom Dynamics applications or just Dynamic CRM apps?
Yeah, that's actually a very good question. Yeah, we do support both. Yeah, in Dynamics, so when you install and use Dynamics, you have a lot of entities that come ready to use, and you have a set of applications. So we support all these standard entities. We also support actually, if you customize these standard entities, add a few fields or a lot of fields to them. There are already a lot of fields in them, but you're welcome to customize them, and we'll pick up the customized schema. But to the question of custom dynamic applications, yes, we also support that. You can create a brand new application that has nothing to do with the built-in entities and the CRM applications in Dynamics. Actually, we have a customer we've been working recently with that has a full application built out of Dynamics, as essentially using Dynamics as a low-code platform, and they don't use most of the entities in Dynamics, and they have created custom entities, and we work with these as well. So hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, absolutely. And then another support question, what about .NET Core?
Not yet, but that's coming. Yeah, if you have .NET Core, please communicate with us. We are certified in H1 this year.
Excellent. Tell me a little bit, the question is around what other databases are supported through .NET?
Yeah. So we ship a lot of data and direct drivers for SQL databases. So they have Data Direct has great support for a lot of databases, and not only support but great performance accessing these. So yeah, we support that. But we have put in place a mechanism where you can use your own driver, essentially. And we've tried that with, for example, accessing the Azure MySQL. So it's an option, an additional option you have available. Of course, I demoed that. We have introduced since 6.0 now for access to REST data source. So
okay.
Hopefully answer also the question.
Yeah, and actually that was another question we had, which has to do with accessing REST services and APIs in general through Dynamics. So that's something that you can do here.
Yes, but I mean, you don't have to access Dynamics via a REST service yourself. You don't have to expose a REST service in Dynamics. You can connect directly in Dynamics via our own built-in driver. So it's a very efficient and highly performant way of accessing Dynamics.
Great. All right. So that's going to wrap it up for the Q&A portion. So Thierry, I really appreciate you taking the time to join me today and walk everyone through this Corticon application. And then on behalf of Thierry and myself and Rachel and the entire Progress and Corticon team, I thank you all for joining today. And if you have any questions that we didn't get a chance to get to today, please reach out directly to us and let us know. Otherwise, have a great day. Thank you.
Bye.